Hi, everyone. Good evening. My name is Hannah. A little bit about me. I grew up on Maui, upcountry Maui. I'm fifth generation here in Hawaii, and so my family came over and we were in Honolulu for a long time. Now we're in Kailua, and so I've been here for a while, and I think that's one of the reasons the work I do is really important to me. Hopefully my kids and grandkids will grow up here just like I did, so I want to preserve the land for my future generations. So today I'm going to talk about accelerating Hawaii towards 100% clean energy. We're going to talk a little bit about climate change, a little bit about sea level rise, a little bit about the work that Blue Planet Foundation does in the clean energy realm, and then we'll talk about energy efficient things. Energy efficiency, things we can do today to be more energy efficient. So let's get started. What do we love about Hawaii? So I love our hikes to beautiful waterfalls. I like our white sand beaches and crystal clear water. I love our abundance of marine life. Surfing with my friends, eating poke, and I look forward to the Merry Monarch Festival each year. What isn't beautiful about Hawaii is our use of fossil fuel. So here in the islands, we're 80% dependent on oil and coal. We have no indigenous fossil fuel. It all has to be brought into the islands, and so a lot of money goes towards that. So what happens when we burn these fossil fuels? They emit greenhouse gases. Those greenhouse gases get trapped up in our atmosphere, making it harder for heat to escape, essentially warming our planet. We're noticing an increase in storms, rain, wind. This is just a rain column. This isn't a hurricane. It's not a tornado. It's just a column of rain. So you can imagine that much rain falling at once would be pretty intense. This is flooding in Texas, Hurricane Harvey. So you can see that highway really flooded. We're noticing a lot of drought in places like India, fires in California. 2016 was the hottest year ever recorded. And so last year was a La Nina year, so it wasn't 2017 was a La Nina year, and then 2018, we haven't gotten exactly the graphs yet, so we will see. To show what's happening with temperature, you can see this video here. So we're starting in the 1880s, moving into the 1900s. Blues are really cool. Reds and oranges are hot. You can see we're in 1915, 1920. We're seeing a lot of blues, very little reds and oranges. We're in the 1940s, moving into the 50s. We're noticing a little bit of change in color as we move up. 70s. 80s, you can see how there's less blue, more reds and yellows. And then as we kind of move into this last chunk of time, we're noticing a big increase in temperature. So where are we noticing the most increase in temperature? The poles. So that doesn't mean that the poles are the hottest, but it means that they've changed the most. They've warmed the most. So Antarctica isn't as sunny as Hawaii, but it's a lot warmer than it was back in the day. Oh, now it's playing again. So San Francisco, Mark Twain used to say, the coldest winter is the summer in San Francisco. Not anymore. San Francisco reached 106 degrees Fahrenheit in 2017. Pakistan reached 129.2 degrees Fahrenheit, so very warm. Could you even imagine being in 129 degrees Fahrenheit? This is an image of Hawaii in 2015. You can see us sitting there in the middle of the Pacific, completely surrounded by hurricanes. We haven't gotten hit by a catastrophic hurricane in some time, but that doesn't mean we're not immune. Something like that could be very intense. We had really close scare with Hurricane Lane. Imagine if that was actually to impact us. Similar could have happened something like Uniki. So things are really changing. Hurricane Harvey was a really interesting hurricane. You can see the path here. One of the reasons it was so interesting, it was the first hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico to intensify as it approached land. Normally, as they approach land, they go down in intensity. And that was because the surface temperature was 7 degrees warmer than usual. So it was a warmer surface temperature. Here are some photos from Hurricane Harvey. You can see just lots of flooding. We saw flooding from the highway earlier. You can see again, just really catastrophic. Puerto Rico with Hurricane Maria. This one really hits home to us, right? Because we're built the same way. We have one power grid. That power grid gets hit in a hurricane and we're all out of power for a very long time, whether we have solar on our house or windmills that are still moving. And so this really kind of woke us up. And so we can see a lot of damage in Puerto Rico. So what's interesting is we see a direct correlation between surface water temperature and intensity in storms. So we have Hurricane Harvey, Maria, and Irma. They're kind of up here in this when it's the warmest surface temperature. This is the historical average. So we're noticing a correlation between surface warmth and hurricane intensity. This is an image of the dog races up in Alaska. They had to be moved 250 miles north of their original start. So you can see it used to start and end way down here in Anchorage, and now it has to end up in Fairbanks, merely because there's not enough snow. Right, that's a culture and a tradition that's been happening for many, many years. So being from Hawaii, we can really understand how that would be, right, and how that would really affect us in our traditions. This is a glacier in Greenland. This is a photo of it in 1935. You can see it's completely frozen, really snowy. This is the photo of that same glacier in 2013, completely melted. So we're losing a lot of ice mass, which is something that leads to sea level rise. So there's two things with sea level rise. One is when ice melts, we have more water. And two is the warmer water is, the more it expands. It takes up more space. So essentially causing sea level to rise. So Greenland's really declining in ice mass, and it's a really big problem. You can see from this graph here, it starts in 2002 all the way to 2018. It's lost over 4,000 gigatons of ice. Gigatons is a really big number. I can't even fathom a gigaton. So you can really see how much it's really declining in ice mass. This is another glacier in Greenland, Jakobshoved Glacier, and they're also losing a lot of ice. This is one of the biggest glaciers in the world. Here's a video. So you can see the red again is that same kind of graph. It means that it's gotten a lot warmer over time. So here's a video of that glacier. I'll move through. So you can see the ice is just melting. This is in the spring. So you can really see the shifting. So you can see how big that glacier is, but how much movement we're really having. And that's because it's been warmer in temperature, more ice is melting. Once some ice starts to melt, more and more start to melt. So that looks like a waterfall. It's, ice falling off of the cliffs, melting beneath. We're really noticing these kind of big changes in these places that we might not think of all the time. Being here in Hawaii, we're so far from the cold, and so can't really understand the idea of it getting warmer up there. So you can really see how much is breaking off fairly quickly.
That's happening all the time.
This is in the spring.
Okay. But then
Yeah, through the summer, and then it cools off again in the winter. Yeah, this is a normal speed video. So you can really see, look at that, right? It's just a lot of ice collapsing. So, yeah. Here in Hawaii, what are some of the things we're noticing? This was the king tides in 2017. This is Waikiki Beach. You can see how much water is really pushing up there. This is a rain that happened in Hilo. So we're noticing a lot of rain falling really quickly. Oh, just kidding. No, that's Dillingham. We're on Oahu. So Oahu, a lot of rain. It almost means more that it's Oahu than Hilo because we know it rains all the time in Hilo. This is Mapunapuna. Again, this was with the king tide. We had fish up on the sidewalk, so water was really moving. This is on Maui. This is the Pali Highway that goes out to the west side, so the water was coming up onto that Pali Highway. So beach erosion is a major one for us in here in the islands. If you've been to the North Shore of Oahu recently, the houses are starting to fall off the banks. As I mentioned, I grew up on Maui. So if you've been to Maui, on the North Shore, there's a beach called Baldwin Beach. It's one of the beaches I grew up going to as a kid. And I was on Maui about a month ago walking my dog down Baldwin Beach. And if you've been to the end of Baldwin, I guess really the beginning of Baldwin, there's this pavilion. It's a giant cement pavilion, and then there's quite a bit of grass, the showers, sand, and then the ocean. So I was there the other day, and the sand is actually going into that pavilion. So the shower is now gone, the grass isn't there, and that sand and water is being pushed into that pavilion. It's a giant cement pavilion, has a bunch of little barbecues, so it's really going to change the way that beach is functioning. So I'm sure we all have similar stories from where we live or where we grew up. This was really important. I think this was more significant than Hurricane Lane or Hurricane Olivia, because with hurricanes, we can be prepared. We know they're coming. We're thinking about it. This is the rain that happened in April. So if you remember the flooding here on Oahu, out in Hawai'i was really intense, kind of came out of nowhere. We were all here, right? We got a flash flood warning. I never would have thought it would be this devastating. And so here's some more photos of Honolulu. You can really see the damage. We have cars being flipped over, houses cracked in half, houses gone. And that can come out of nowhere. So it's really going to affect us here in the islands. So UH scientists predict that at the end of the century, we'll have a 1 meter sea level rise. So at earliest, 40 years from today, what does that look like for our coastal communities? So we have Waikiki here. We have the Convention Center, the Alawai Iolani School, Honolulu Zoo. And with a 1 meter sea level rise, it's going to look something like that. So we're basically going to wipe out all of Waikiki. Everywhere is different. Oahu gets heavily impacted because a lot of areas are at sea level. So sea level rise doesn't mean 1 meter is just going to come in. It means it's going to rise up. So inland areas, Mo'ili'ili gets really flooded. You've seen new apartment buildings. They're not putting elevators on the first floor. They're putting them on the second floor just in case for flooding purposes. So that's going to affect us. And a big part of that is from our using fossil fuels. So using fossil fuels really is creating more climate change, more greenhouse gas emissions. So can anybody guess how much money we spend every day importing fossil fuels to Hawaii? Any guesses? How much money we spend every day importing fossil fuels to Hawaii? A lot? Any number guesses? 4.5 million? Good guess. Yeah?
5,500.
5,500, good guess. We spend $14 million every day importing fossil fuel. Every day. We spend over $5 billion a year importing oil. We import more than 8.5 million barrels of oil each year. And 80% of all the energy used in Hawaii comes from burning these fossil fuels.
Is that a total for all the islands?
Yep, all the islands.
Is that my tax? Are those the taxes that I'm paying to the state? Like,
Go
the
to
state?
oil.
Okay.
Yeah. So Blue Planet's mission is to clear the path for 100% clean energy here in Hawaii. We envision a world of abundant renewable energy that sustains all life on Earth. And that's why we led the grassroots campaign to pass the first 100% renewable energy bill. It states that all electricity produced in Hawaii by 2045 will come from renewable energy resources. It's really exciting. We're the first state in the nation to adopt such a bill. We're going to be this kind of models for the rest of the world. What worked in Hawaii, what didn't work. It's going to be really interesting to see Hawaii's journey towards 100% clean energy. So what does Blue Planet Foundation do? We work in 3 parts. We work in advocacy, awareness, and action. So for advocacy, we do lawmaking at the state capitol, rulemaking with the Public Utilities Commission, and we implement programs on the county level. So really work heavily in that. For awareness, we go out and give presentations. We talk to groups like yourself. We go in and speak to students K through 12. We think it's really important to give them a strong foundation in kind of this complex issue of climate change and clean versus dirty energy. So we try to make that really easily understandable. And then, we talk to community groups and different organizations. We also do a lot of different programs at Blue Planet Foundation. We're always coming up with new programs to include our community. And it was our 10-year anniversary last year, and that's when we launched this program. Oh, no. It's called We Are 100. So it's sharing 100 stories of clean energy in Hawaii. That's everybody from corporations that are going green to people that live out in Hana and they have does it keep doing that? They live out in Hana, and they have solar hot water heating showers. And really, some of it's because they want to reduce their energy use, and others is because they live in a multifamily home with 20 odd people, and you can only have so much hot water from a water heater. So having a solar hot water system really makes a lot of sense. So we're sharing 100 of those stories throughout the year. So everyone in between, from hard to reach communities to businesses. And so you'll see those debuting throughout the year. Another program that I particularly liked is called the You Have the Power program. It was a program we did a few years back. And the way it worked is that we went into homes, 750 homes, and we gave people these energy kits. These energy kits attached to their meter. They had an app on their phone, and it told them how much energy each appliance in your home was using at any given time. So energy is this big invisible thing, right? We get a bill at the end of the month. We have no idea what's using the most energy. So this made it so you could really see where your energy was going. You knew how much electricity your fridge used, your microwave used, your phone charger used. And so it was a way to kind of understand where your energy was coming and going. So I thought that was really cool. It's just a pilot program. So maybe we'll revamp it and launch it again in the future. And that brings me to energy efficiency. Energy efficiency is the biggest thing we can do on our journey to 100% clean energy. It's something everybody can do right now today. Use less energy. So I could stand up here and tell you about solar and wind and all those great things. But I want to focus on this because I think it's something we can implement right now, today. So we're going to go through and talk about some energy efficiency tips and tricks that I think are really helpful. But I'm going to show you a short video. This video we did in partnership with Hawai'i Energy. And I'll talk a little bit more about Hawai'i Energy after the video. It's a commercial we ran. It's a 1-minute commercial that aired on television. We wanted to come up with something kind of fun and interesting that people would watch, but would get them thinking about energy. So here we go.
It's obvious that waste is ridiculous. Why don't we think the same about wasting energy? Find out how you can be smarter with your energy at smallkindridiculous.org.
So right, that gets you thinking about energy and thinking about waste. Using that much saran wrap for a musubi is ridiculous. Using an entire bottle of sunscreen when you go to the beach is crazy. But we might not think the same about energy. We might leave the house with all the lights on. We might leave our air conditioning running because it's nice to come home to a cool house. So changing the way people think about energy. Okay, so I have 3 appliances here. I have an Energy Star refrigerator, I have a DVD player, and I have an incandescent light bulb. If left on 24/7 for an entire year, which one do you think is going to use the most amount of electricity? The light bulb? Good guess. The refrigerator? Good guess. It's actually the DVD player.
Oh, you're kidding.
So refrigerators are really energy efficient. They're made to be kept on all the time. So they use a lot less energy than we might think. An incandescent light bulb, as we know, is second. We know they use a lot more energy than an LED, and we'll talk about that in a sec. But the DVD player wins for using the most amount of electricity if it was constantly in use. So thinking about those smaller appliances that might use more energy than we think. So let's talk about some of those things. LED light bulbs. Who's heard of LED light bulbs? Yeah, so a lot of us use LED light bulbs today. They're 90% more efficient than incandescents. They use a lot less energy. They also are cool to the touch. They don't get really hot, which is nice because that also helps keep your home cooler. So the average home in 2003 had 34 light bulbs. If we changed all of those light bulbs from incandescents to LEDs, we'd save $340 a year. So it's about a $10 savings per light bulb per year. So you can really understand how much energy an LED uses versus an incandescent. Another thing about LEDs that I think is important is the whole watts to a looms is really different. So if you have a lamp that says it takes a 40-watt light bulb, you can put a 60, I don't think it's called a looms LED light bulb in that 40-watt light bulb. And the reason is because those LEDs don't run warm. So, yeah. So has anybody heard of Hawai'i Energy before? One of us? A few of us? So Hawai'i Energy is a program. They're a program that are funded by all of you. They're funded by ratepayers. So 1.5% of your electricity bill goes into this public utilities fund. That fund is called Hawai'i Energy, and different people are contracted to run that fund. So right now it's Leidos and Honeywell. But anyways, the fund's called Hawai'i Energy, and the sole purpose of that money is to help people be more energy efficient. And so they offer like programs, incentives, rebates. So I'm going to talk about a few of them that I think are really great. One of them's LED light bulbs. So we have LED light bulbs here. Do we all know where this is? Costco. Yeah, I took these photos myself. I shop at Costco. You know, you can buy them anywhere. I think this is really convenient. So this is a pack of 6 LED light bulbs right here. So originally $15, it's hard to see that number. But with the Hawai'i Energy rebate, they only cost you $2.50. So you're getting a 6-pack of light bulbs for $2.50. They make them really affordable. They're much more affordable than incandescents. It's a point of contact rebate. You go in there, the rebate's already deducted. So super easy to get LEDs. Showers. So your water heater, electric water heater, is the biggest consumer of energy in your home. Uses about 40% of your energy, uses a lot. So obviously solar hot water heaters are great. I'll talk about those in a second. But if you have an electric water heater and you don't have solar, putting it on a timer is a really easy, quick way to save energy. So ours only goes on for an hour in the evenings. I don't have a solar hot water heater. We live in a really old house built 50 years ago. My grandparents built it. So we have solar on the house, but we don't actually have solar hot water heaters. And I just moved in to a portion of my grandma's house a few months ago, and she has like 6 water heaters, and none of them had timers on them. Yeah, the house is really big, but it's all like portioned off now. So I went around and had someone come out and install all these timers because I was like, we don't need to use all this energy all the time. And we've noticed a significant drop in the electricity bill. So thinking if yours is on a timer versus not on a timer. So shorter showers. To put that into perspective, how much money and energy it takes to heat water. If you took a 10-minute shower on average and you drop that to 8-minute shower a day, you'd save yourself $460 a year. So it's a lot of energy to heat up water. I also have these really great gadgets. I call them energy efficient gadgets that you can utilize to help lower the amount of water and energy you're using. So an energy efficient shower head, the way it works is you put it on your shower. It uses the same amount of pressure, but less water. So it pumps air into it, so it's pushing out and keeping the pressure, but using less water. And that would save you about $280 a year. Just an energy saving number, so you could imagine what the water savings would be, probably a little bit as well. Hawai'i Energy has this marketplace. They put everything in one place, all these energy efficiency gadgets. It's kind of hard to find them here in Hawaii in regular stores. You can purchase them online at any vendor, but these ones already have the rebates attached to them, so I like to show them. So this is that energy efficient shower head down here. Normally $20, it's only going to cost you $4. So really easy. They have ones for the kitchen sink, for the bathtub. So there's lots of different ones you can utilize to reduce your energy use. Who has a second refrigerator? Oh, some of us. If you grew up in Hawaii, you probably grew up with a second refrigerator. Again, my grandma lives out in Kailua. She has a second refrigerator and 2 freezers. And they're completely jam-packed with food. Some of that food's probably been in there the entire time I've been alive. She's also one of those people, she's like under 5 foot, she's 100% Chinese, and she saves everything. So if there's like a little bit of rice in the rice cooker, she like puts it in a Tupperware and freezes it. So we really, keep everything. And so having a second fridge uses a lot of energy. A lot of times we don't need a second fridge. It's just for extra stuff. And so having a second refrigerator costs you about $300 a year to run. And a lot of times they're non-Energy Star, right? We get a new refrigerator. We think, oh, we'll just put our old one in the garage. Oahu has this great thing called Big Trash Pickup where they pick up these big items. Maui has no such thing. Maui doesn't even have curbside recycling. So we keep a lot of our old crap just because it's really hard to lug it into your car and take it to the dump. So most everyone keeps their second refrigerator, and they're about 10 years old, They live in the garage. You throw beer, extra food in them, but they cost money. And so thinking about, do I really need that second refrigerator? Hawaii Energy has this program that if you have a second refrigerator and it's non-Energy Star and you're thinking, okay, maybe I want to get rid of it, they'll pick it up from your house and they'll pay you $75 for it. So they come to your house, they pick it up, take it away, and they give you $75. And it can be as old as it wants, as long as it's still running. It can be 20 years old, they'll take it. So a really great program to utilize if you have a second refrigerator that you want to get rid of. Smart trips are another thing I think are really cool. They're kind of like a power strip, but they work a little bit differently. So we have this red here. The red is always on. So let's plug something like our internet into the red. We don't want our internet turning on and off. Into the blue, we'll plug our control. So maybe our TV. And into the green, we call it the switch. We'll plug something like our sound system, our Xbox, our DVD player, your Apple TV, anything that gets used with the TV. And so when you turn on your TV, all the things in the green are going to turn on. The sound system, the Xbox, the DVD player, the Apple TV. And when you turn off your TV, all of those things are going to shut down. They're going to essentially be unplugged from the wall. So it's a super simple gadget, but it turns all of those things off. You're not going to go behind your TV and unplug all that stuff because it's a total hassle and no one's going to do it. And so a gadget as simple as this will save you about $40 a year. Really easy to utilize. Again, they sell them on the Hawaii Energy Marketplace and on Amazon and all those other vendors. Originally $30 is only going to cost you $10. So the cheapest power strip you can buy at Walmart is $10. So you can get a smart strip for the same price. Fan rotation. Do you know which way your fan rotates? Which way? Which way is that? That way? So your fans are supposed to rotate counterclockwise. And the reason in Hawaii they're supposed to rotate counterclockwise is because if you live somewhere that's cool, in the winter you want it to move clockwise because you want it to push the hot air down. And in the summer you want it to move counterclockwise so it pulls the cool air up. In Hawaii it's always, warm. So if our fan's on, we want it to cool us. So you want your fans to rotate counterclockwise for a cooler home. Can we tell which ones these are going? Counterclockwise. We're good. No, counterclockwise. Right. So does anybody hang their clothes out to dry? Wow, that's wonderful. That's more than I've ever had in a group. I grew up in Hawaii. I grew up in upcountry Maui, super sunny, really windy. I grew up using an electric dryer all the time. And I went to school in England. I went to university over there for my undergraduate degree. And they don't have electric dryers. And if they do, they're really small and they take 4 hours to dry your stuff and nobody uses them. So I got to my dorm and they had no electric dryer. And I was like, how do you dry your clothes? And they're like, oh, you hang them inside. If you've been to England, it's super cold, rainy. I was like, you want me to hang my clothes inside? Isn't it going to get musty or mildewy? How does anything dry? They're like, no, this is how you do it. So of course I hung my clothes inside. Sometimes they take 3 days to dry. Nobody thought anything of it. They're like, yeah, that's how it is. So I got really used to drying my clothes inside. So I went back to Maui. I got my mom to get one of those clothing lines outside. She doesn't use it as much as I'd hope she does. But hanging your clothes outside is a really easy thing to do, especially where it's so hot and windy here in Hawaii. So doing something as simple as hanging your clothes out will save you about $300 a year. So it uses those electric dryers, use a lot of energy, especially if they're on high heat, they're using more energy. So really thinking about the energy that we're using. AC units. A lot of times people have older AC units. Upgrading your AC unit from a non-Energy Star to an Energy Star is really important. Making sure we're using these Energy Star appliances. They're made to use as little energy as possible. Right now, we're gearing up for the legislative session, and one of our priorities in this session is to pass a bill. It's the Appliance Efficiency Standards Bill. And what it states is that all appliances coming into Hawaii will be energy efficient appliances, Energy Star. So you won't have the option of buying non-energy efficient appliances. And California has already passed this bill. So a lot of the offload we get is from them, which is a lot of non-Energy Star appliances. I actually went to the store over that Black Friday month where they did Black Friday for a month for appliances. And I needed to get a fridge for our new place. And I don't have above cabinets, so I needed a fridge that was not as wide, narrow, and taller. And it was really hard to find. They would not ship. There's only one Energy Star appliance in the dimensions that I needed, and they would not ship it to Hawaii. So I had to buy a non-Energy Star refrigerator. And I stand up here and I tell people to buy energy efficient appliances almost every day. And it was impossible for me to do that. With the house I had, they didn't sell and wouldn't ship me an Energy Star refrigerator. So I was really upset about that. And so this standard means a lot to me, and it being passed would be really important because we want to offer people the best. If it's $100 savings between a non-Energy Star fridge and an Energy Star fridge, and you buy that one, it's going to cost you more in the long run with energy bills, utility bills, because they use more energy. So making sure that our people only have the best choice that's going to be, cost effective as well over time. You keep these refrigerators for a really long time. AC units are the same. Switching from a non-Energy Star to an Energy Star will save you about $70 a year in energy savings. Hawaii Energy also does a trade up. They all do all these different rebates. And so one of them is if you trade up, they'll give you $65 towards your new Energy Star appliance because they're expensive. And they also do tune-ups. They do solar hot water tune-ups and air conditioning tune-ups. So they'll give you $125 towards your tune-up to make it more cost effective. So solar hot water heaters are a really big one. They're a big chunk of money, but they also save a lot. So a solar hot water heater, moving from an electric water heater to a solar hot water heater, will save you about $800 a year. So it's a pretty big chunk of money. We talked about how much money and energy it is to heat up water. Hawaii Energy does a rebate. It's a $750 rebate towards your solar hot water heater. And then you have tax incentives. It's about 35% of the cost, up to $5,000. So it ends up really offsetting that cost. And so we want to try to, make it as affordable as possible so we can all utilize these gadgets. This is an image that I think is really interesting. Hawaii is using less energy, and essentially that's what we want to do. We want to use as little energy as possible. You can see Oahu here in the green has had the biggest deduction in energy use. And one of the reasons is Manoa uses the most energy in all of Hawaii. They switched to LED light bulbs. They did a lot of things to be more energy efficient, which really reduced our use. So we are becoming more energy efficient. Another thing I think is interesting is you see Kauai here is a dotted line, and they haven't moved a whole lot. And one of those reasons is they don't have a program like Hawaii Energy. They are their own utilities. They don't follow under our utilities that we use on the rest of the islands. And so because they don't have a program like Hawaii Energy, we think that might be one of the reasons they stayed so the same, because they're not offered rebates. They're not offered educational information on things that they can utilize to use less energy. Okay, so I have one trivia question for you. What day out of the entire year do Americans use the least amount of electricity? One day out of the entire year. Earth Day? Good guess. Yeah, you're not supposed to guess. You already know. Super Bowl Sunday is the one day out of the entire year that Americans use the least amount of electricity. Which is kind of funny, right? Nobody is thinking they use the least amount of electricity, but everyone's probably in one house with their friends and family, all watching one TV. So the Super Bowl is coming up, and we're all going to use the least amount of electricity. So maybe we need more Super Bowl Sundays. So here in Hawaii, we're really lucky. We need to come together because we have everything we need for 100% clean energy, right? We have wind, we have sun, we have wave, we have access to geothermal. We have all these different resources that we can really tap into. So we really need to be the forefront of this clean energy revolution. So let's not be lazy, right? We're not going to do something like this. We're not going to do something like that. Or something as lazy as this. We're going to come together to reduce our carbon footprint because we are Hawaii. We're one big community out here in the Pacific. We're a bunch of islands together, and climate change affects us, right? It all matters. Sea level rise, all of those things. So we need to make sure that we're really working towards a better future. So I encourage you to make one energy efficiency change in your home this week, whether it's getting LED light bulbs, turning off the lights more, taking shorter showers, anything you can do today to reduce your energy use. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Any questions? What are you gonna do? Your own.
Yeah, does anyone have something that they can do to be more energy efficient?
Buy the light bulbs.
Oh, LED light bulbs. Yeah, it's a good one.
Is there an organization that would inspect your home to the idea?
Yep. So Pono Homes is an organization that goes into homes and they do energy efficiency like retrofits where they'll go through your home and be like, okay, if you got energy efficient shower heads, if you got power strips, if you did all these different things, this is how much energy you'd save. And they do that for free. And then if you want them to actually install all of those things and do it all for you, they do that as well for a cost. But they will come in and tell you how much energy you can save and what you can do for free. They're called Pono Homes. Pono Homes. Yes. Look up their website.
Any other questions?
What about those hot water heaters that don't have a tank?
Yeah, tankless water heaters.
What are the economics, the cost, how hard are they to put in?
I don't know a whole lot about how they're put in and how much they cost, but they do use very little energy. They're really energy efficient. You might see them if you've been to Japan. They have the tankless water heaters. You put how many gallons of water you want, and then it does that way. But we don't really have them in America. I haven't seen a whole lot, especially here in Hawaii.
You have the ones that run on propane.
Any other questions?
I have a suggestion for someone.
Okay.
If you don't have too many trees, start planting some trees on the west side and on the south side, which I have.
Oh, okay.
Then you can shade.
Shade. Yeah. Shade on your home helps. Yeah.
One of the things that Blue Planet Night Explorer, I think it's about 3 decades ago, there was a group around here that got together and on a weekend built our own hot water heaters.
Ah.
And somebody came in and supplied the parts, showed how. So we all put them together for about $500. And mine's still working after 30 years.
Wow. That's super cool. With our We Are 100 program we've been doing, we went out to Hana and interviewed families over there. And this one family that I thought was really interesting is they had a nonprofit organization that is out in Hana. They built them this solar hot water heater, but it's made out of like big plastic. It's like black plastic tarp or whatever, and the pipes run through that, so it heats up in that way.
This was good stuff.
Yeah, there's this too. And they made a big outside shower, and they had like 18 people living in one home, and they were all able to shower in this shower, and they'd have hot water for forever. So that was pretty cool to see the things that can really be implemented that are really cost effective too.
What was the name of the people that take your refrigerator and give you money?
Hawaii Energy.
Are there many or any net zero homes in Oahu?
Oh, that is a good question. I'm sure there's probably one. On Maui, which isn't Oahu, there's actually a home out. Well, there's probably a few out in Hana really too, because they don't have. It's really hard to get electricity out there. Things are always falling. No one's replacing. It takes a while, so they try to be really off the grid. But there's actually a home in Haiku that was built to be 100% off the grid. It's net zero. They have tons of batteries. It's very state of the art. And so that's pretty cool to see some of these homes that are going completely net zero. But I'm not sure about Oahu.
So I visited one on Sunday.
Oh, okay.
And I have the brochure. The house is, besides being sustainable and net zero, it's on all kinds of photos.
Oh, cool.
They're not quite finished with all the construction, but they're finished it up.
Oh, so they're just kind of finishing up the construction. It seems like there's a lot more. There's a housing units they did out kind of by Sand Island. They're like kind of like transitional homes, but a lot of times they get separated. Families get separated, men and women. And so this is where they can be together as a family unit to get back on their feet. And they've done it like really sustainably. They are basically 100% off the grid. They weren't connected to the grid in the beginning. Now they are, but they have solar, batteries, and all of that. So it makes it really cost effective.
Aaron Ackerman.
Oh, Aaron
They
Ackerman.
actually do tours of their home.
Oh,
I'm
cool.
sorry, that's all the information I have. They're more personal than they are.
Yeah. So it seems like more and more people are moving in that direction.
Don't leave the radio on for my dog. So
Oh, that's a good thing. Things he's gonna do to be more energy efficient is not leave the radio on for his dogs when he leaves the house.
That's the least amount of energy for a radio.
Yeah.
Are there any initiatives or incentives right now to go to solar panels, or are you being find out?
There still are, I believe. The solar thing's kind of interesting, right? Places are getting saturated. It's harder and harder to get solar. Now you have to get solar and battery. There's all these different programs. But one of the legislation that we passed actually in the last legislative session is called the Ratepayer Protection Act. And it's actually going to kind of change the way our system works. So right now it's kind of the energy companies, right? How much energy they can produce and how much energy they can sell, they make the most money. So this changes the way that actually works. It puts consumers at the center. And so they're going to make money for how quickly they can attach renewables. They'll make money for how great their customer satisfaction is. So they'll have these different brackets on how to make money. And so it'll change the way that system's really working. So they'll be able to hopefully open up more for solar. We're also, because of Puerto Rico, moving towards microgrids. And so that was a docket that we were a part of that passed. I don't think we're a part of it anymore on the PUC side. And so microgrid's going to change. Right now, everything comes from the Kahe power plant. The Kahe power plant knocks down. You don't get to use your solar panels. The windmills don't get to produce or feed us energy. We'd just be out of energy. So microgrid changes the way that works. So we're kind of starting to explore how we're going to do the infrastructure for microgrids. So a bunch of different communities will be these isolated grids that are interconnected. So, right, we'll have like Waimanalo, Kailua, Hawai'i Kai, and there'll be these separate grids. So if something happens, the grids can isolate off, and you can, if a hurricane hits the Kahe power plant, people in Hawai'i Kai can still use their solar and the windmills. And so it'll all be interconnected and then be able to kind of chunk off. So we're really trying to move towards microgrids. And then again, that would open up the solar too. So we're trying to, continue that. There's a bunch of new solar projects that are happening. There's one solar project on the Big Island that they're just starting, and it's going to sell energy back to the grid at 8 cents per kilowatt hour. So that's the lowest right now with fossil fuel. It's about 15 cents per kilowatt hour. So if they could get energy at 8 cents per kilowatt hour, it would be really cost effective for these utilities. As technology advances, we're noticing more opportunities for things like solar and wind and wave and geothermal and all of those.
I belong to an organization that would like to do a tree planting project in Honolulu.
Oh,
I was
cool.
wondering, does Blue Plant have any guidelines or suggestions or ideas on how to make it happen?
Yeah, we don't personally do tree planting, but carbon offsets are a great idea. I can't think of anyone that's doing them right at the moment. But if you give me your email, I can get back to you and send you a list of people that are doing that kind of work. Because there's a lot of people that are planting trees for carbon offsets and to, revegetate Hawaiian forests too. So could be one
I know
in
the
the
mayor
same.
has a big objective to put a 35% tree cover.
Yeah, so we just passed legislation last legislative session for carbon offsets, and one of that is through planting trees is a really big carbon offset.
Okay, well, I'll email you, I've got you.
Great, yeah, and I can send you a list. I'll look things up.
Any other questions?